J.P. Morgan's CEO sounded off about the American economy in a recent earnings call. Here to discuss this remarkable diatribe is editorial page editor Paul Gigot. So, Paul, what has Jamie Dimon so exercised?
What doesn't? He let loose at Washington, and the failure to move the kind of economic policies that he thinks could get the economy moving. Infrastructure investment, he said, tax reform, importantly, regulatory reform. He basically said we've got to, and he mentioned education. If you ask me, he's right on all of them. Maybe not the details we wouldn't agree, but in general, directionally, he's saying, go get it done.
And why don't more CEOs say things like this?
Well, because of what happened to Jamie Dimon the last time he spoke up under the Obama administration. Remember, he was kind of a leader early in the administration, pushing back against Dodd-Frank and some of the strictures of regulation. He had that trouble with the London whale, and they came down on him.
That's right. That was a big trade gone wrong, and the U.S. regulators just went all over.
And they ended up, and then there were 2 or 3 big cases that the Obama administration was looking to extort money out of all the big banks. Now most of those cases left over from the pre-crisis era are gone. So, and I think Jamie Dimon feels a little more liberated. He's not going to become as much of a political target under Trump. But most other CEOs are too timid. I think they're afraid of becoming political targets, and not without some cause. But at some point, leaders have to speak up.
Yeah, they do, and some of them, of course, are tied to the government money. Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs and others. Paul, do you think Jamie Dimon has other aspirations? Could he run for political office?
Well, I think there's a part of him that thinks yes, he could. And let's face it, if Donald Trump can run and win, anybody can.
So we could be looking at a Mark Zuckerberg, Jamie Dimon lineup?
I don't think Zuckerberg is going to run this next cycle, but I think Mark Cuban could. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if you see 2 or 3 other CEOs consider it, think about it. Jamie Dimon is a Democrat. He's a cultural liberal, and so he'd have I think, a very hard time winning the nomination on the Republican side. But if he ran as a Democrat, he might have a harder time on some of these economic issues. But you know what? It's an interesting message.
Yeah, he sounds like a blue dog Democrat.
He does. I think that's exactly right. He's a pro-growth, market-oriented Democrat, of the kind that haven't achieved a lot of prominence in the Democratic Party in a while. But if he's run his string out at Morgan and wanted to run, I think he'd be an interesting addition to the debate.
No, I'd take that over Elizabeth Warren for president. Editorial page editor Paul Gigot.
No disagreement from me.
Thanks very much.